In order that the Negro may be reached with education and propaganda, and that he may be organized for activity, the following methods are recommended. All right, what's up, folks? It's your man, 100 Days of Summer. In this video, what I want to do is talk to you about a plot that was formulated in 1922 to infiltrate and control every aspect of the Black community, as far as our organizations, our religious leaders, our colleges, our newspapers, every single aspect of our life, in order to educate us with propaganda and then radicalize us so that we be used for this organization's agenda. This is a very little known part of Black history. So most people don't even know that this ever existed or happened or who this organization is, but their impact is still being felt in our community to this day. So I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do, and I'm gonna ask you to leave a comment right now, actually. Leave a comment, whether it's an emoji, a letter, a word, just so that we can make sure this video actually spreads. Because if you don't leave comments, it won't feed the algorithm and no one will ever see this information. So I want to continue to read this agenda and then reveal who this group is and talk more about each aspect of the agenda. In order that the Negro may be reached with education and propaganda, and that he may be organized for activity, the following methods are recommended. 1. Nuclei shall be established in all existing Negro organizations. Colored organizers and speakers shall be sent among Negroes in order to inform them and win their confidence. Newspapers and publications shall be established. Friendship of liberal-minded Negro ministers shall be sought, as these men are at the present time the leaders of the Negro masses. Conferences on the economic conditions among Negroes shall be held from time to time with these ministers, educators, and other liberal elements, and through their influence, the party shall aim to secure a more favorable hearing before the Negro masses. By means of its membership, the party shall penetrate existing forms, literary societies, lyceums, schools, colleges, teachers' institutes, etc., of the colored people, and establish forms of its own for the enlightenment of the Negro population. Who do you think wanted to do this all the way back in 1922? Communists, Soviet communists, people that look like this, actually. That picture was taken from the convention in 1922, where the document I just read was confiscated from. Back in 1922, Soviet communists had an idea to infiltrate the Black community and control every aspect of our lives. But the question is, did it work? Were they able to reach us with education and propaganda that we might be organized for activity? Because if so, we should be able to find a organization that infiltrated us as our friends and then took over our entire worldview.
If you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
All right, but did they also infiltrate our organizations claiming to be our friends?
These northern foxes pose as white liberals. They pose as your friends. They infiltrate all your organizations, and in this manner, by joining you, they strangle your militant efforts toward freedom, toward justice, and toward equality.
Did they also befriend our Negro ministers that were the leaders of our community at the time, trying to get to us?
Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Did they ever organize us for activity that didn't benefit us but only benefit them?
The white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game.
Okay, that could be a coincidence. So it seems to me that this group that Malcolm X is identifying, calling white liberals, is actually carrying out the agenda that was formulated in 1922 by the Soviet communists. It seems that he is identifying the symptoms of this agenda's success. So the question is, when did they begin their infiltration and how did they befriend us? I want to read something to you from Washington.edu. It says the CP, the Communist Party, was one of the first left groups, left-wing leftist groups, to take up the issue of racism and oppression. During the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, the Communist Party made great strides in the area of union desegregation, public education about racial injustice, and legal support for civil rights activities. That's how they became our friend. They told us that they would help us fight against racism. What Malcolm X says is they infiltrated all of our organizations in every aspect of our life, and in doing so, they actually stop us from becoming liberated.
They infiltrate all your organizations, and in this manner, by joining you, they strangle your militant efforts toward freedom, toward justice, and toward equality.
The people that have said that they were helping us with racism and oppression are actually the ones holding us back from overcoming the symptoms of racism and oppression. That's why Malcolm X said that they were the worst enemy to America as well as the black man. Because communists hate America and they're using us to destroy their enemy. We were reached with education and propaganda in the 20s. And Malcolm X says in the 60s that we were somehow engulfed by the white liberals' trickery. Somehow in 40 years, the white liberal had ended up controlling every aspect of our lives to the point where everything that we were doing for him and not for ourselves. Meanwhile, he's pointing to the other side as the reason why we're not getting anywhere. It's fucking diabolical. Remember, they did all these things, right? They made all these public strides throughout the 30s, 40s, and the 50s. That means that they were with us that entire time. You think they stopped in the 60s? When did the Panthers come about? What was their logo? The fist, the communist fist. You think that they weren't, their radicalization wasn't coming from this ideology or this plan from the 20s, right? Fast forward to last year. What do we get? Black Lives Matter with the Black Fist, communist organization. Remember Patrisse Cullors? She says that she was a organizer.
I'm a trained organizer.
Where did Patrisse Cullors say that she was trained? Who trained her?
The Labor Community Strategy Center is my first political home.
Started by an old friend of mine,
Yes,
Eric Mann,
Eric
right?
Mann, that's my mentor.
Eric Mann was her mentor. Who is Eric Mann? Eric Mann is a communist from the 60s. So we saw that the agenda, as stated, was that the white communists will send a colored organizer and a speaker to us to win our confidence. Eric Mann, white communist. Patrisse Cullors, colored organizer. Did she win our confidence? I believe so. They raised $90 million last year. The biggest movement that has ever happened in America. And how did they do it? How did they win us? How did they get us on their side? They said that they were helping us fight against racism and oppression. And I asked my fellow black people, what is a symptom of systemic racism? Mass incarceration. Oh, okay. Well, it says here that Joe Biden wrote all the crime bills that led to mass incarceration.
The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill. Black Lives Matter, the people who claim to be against criminal injustice, told us to vote in the guy who wrote all the crime bills. That's what I mean. Every time they get us to do something that we think is to help us, it's actually to help them, and then we end up with nothing at the end, just like Malcolm said. This has been happening to us since the 20s, and we still haven't wisened up yet. We've literally put 70% and up of our votes behind the Democrats since the 30s. And you know what? It's so crazy about this. In the 30s, the Democrats were openly the party of the Ku Klux Klan.
And what kind of alibi do they come up with? They try and pass the buck to the Dixiecrats. Now, back during the days when you were blind, deaf, and dumb, ignorant, politically immature, naturally you went along with that. But today, as your eyes come open and you develop political maturity, you're able to see and think for yourself. And you can see that a Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise.
It's so crazy, yo. The reasons that we are where we're at today is because of this group of people. They've sabotaged us every step of the way. And we still continue to vote for the left. Since the 30s, it hasn't helped us at all. Malcolm X literally just said that they've been using us I showed you the agenda where they said that they wanted to use us. And still to this day, we are allowing ourselves to be used. So I don't want to make this video too long. Hopefully you get the point. Once again, please, if you find value in this and you want other people to see it, leave a comment, share it in your stories. You know, send it to somebody in a DM or something like that so that this shit can spread. I've been rehearsing this thing for days. I've never taken so long to make a video, but this is that important to me. I wanted to make sure that it connected. I feel like this is actually it, but the rest is up to y'all, man, and the algorithm. So I'm gonna end the video on that note. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one or in the comment section. All right, peace.
Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.